Next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the research that our lab is doing in the Brazilian Amazon. There are many threats currently facing Amazonian forests, including deforestation, fragmentation, which is where deforestation isolates areas of mature forest, fire, and drought. And our lab and our collaborators are working to understand how Amazonian forests are responding to these threats. In particular, we're working to understand how climate change is affecting these forests. And we're seeing higher temperatures and increased incidence of drought in the Amazon. So let's zoom in on our main study site at the Red Star just south of Santarém. This is the Tapajós National Forest in Brazil. Here we are looking out over the rainforest canopy. This is actually one of the driest areas in the Brazilian Amazon, although it is still a moist tropical forest. One of the main measurements we make is to measure the diameter of trees and how much they grow each year and each month. We also have this instrument called a ground-based LiDAR, which has a laser in it that measures the distance between the sensor and anything that it comes into contact with. We're interested in leaves, so it can tell us about the distribution of leaves and how that changes in response to drought and seasonally. Here, Lauren Albert, one of our collaborators, is making leaf level measurements of photosynthesis using this instrument called a LICOR. Here are the leaves inside the leaf cuvette of the instrument. We often need to climb up into the forest canopy to access leaves right at the top. Here Mick is climbing ropes to get all the way up into a tall forest canopy tree. Lauren here has managed to get the LICOR up into the canopy by climbing, and Leo did a lot of leaf level measurements from at the top of canopy trees over the summer. Here Ty is hauling an instrument up using ropes. He's put some leaves in this bag and he's attaching tubes to it that will feed the gases that are coming off the leaves to this instrument that gives him a readout. And in this case, this instrument measures the sensitivity of leaves to heat stress. And in fact, Ty built this instrument, so that's something we often need to do, is to sort of make our own instruments, be our own engineers. Another tool that we use very often is data from aircraft LiDAR. So it's a similar instrument I showed you before, but it's in an aircraft and it can do a similar kind of thing, but over a much larger area to give us an idea of the distribution of leaves in the tropical rainforest and how that distribution changes in response to drought and in response to things like deforestation. We're also going to be using a drone like this one here. Nathan's going to lead that project. You can put all sorts of instruments on drones. The site has an EdiFlux tower with lots of instruments on it. Some of the main instruments measure the exchange of carbon dioxide and water between the atmosphere and the forest, so we can calculate photosynthesis of the forest. And it also has an instrument, a camera that Kleber is working on here, that takes regular images of the forest to see how the greenness of the forest changes seasonally. And with all these measurements that we're getting at different scales, right from the leaf to the forest scale, we can put all that information together to get a picture of how the forest is responding to climate changes and how it might, and to predict how the forest might change in the future.